DJI Mic 2. Before we jump in, Sony ECM S1 connected to the A6700. HOLLYLAND Lark M2 here with the wind muff, DJI Mic 2 and the SKMOVA or CKMOVA SXM3. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a Chinese microphone. Anyway, these three here, they go into the Porta Capture X8 and the S1 goes into this camera, as I already told you. This is being recorded 24-bit 48 kilohertz in here, and that's why I decided also to record these three in the Porta Capture X8 with 24-bit 48 kilohertz, so this is most equal. I am using the digital connection here of the S1 because I'm recording also directly digital inside this camera, so nothing much better you will be able to get out. Regarding noise cancelling, I deactivated noise cancelling on all the devices just for you to hear the maximum quality which you can get out, because noise cancelling afterwards is always much more easy. There will be detailed audio comparisons with and without noise cancelling, of course, at the end of this video, so just check the time warp links seen here. Let's jump right in. DJI Mic 2. The packaging. The DJI Mic 2 comes in contemporary packaging. Inside there is nothing but a few documents and of course the bag, which can safely store all the accessories, including the charging box carrying both microphones, two adapters and the receiver. The most important specs regarding the microphones themselves. According to the producers, the internal microphones of the DJI transmitter units reproduces frequency ranges between a minimum of 50 Hz and a maximum of 20 kHz. The recorded signals are digitally encrypted and transmitted to the receiver at 24-bit and 48 kHz. At the same time, a monotrack with 32-bit float resolution can be recorded onto the built-in memory of the two transmitters, which is then divided into shorter units of 23 minutes in case of using 32-bit audio recordings. DJI Central Surveillance? I think it is an honorable development that the microphone can be switched on and used without prior registration at the company headquarters, which we already have experienced quite differently with DJI action cameras and drones, as well as the Pocket series. In connection with future updates, we will of course still be forwarded to the central server. And before we get right into it, leave a like and follow my channel so that you don't miss any more critical reviews on cameras, images and sound. The charging case. This time the charging case comes in a slightly more angular design compared to the first DJI mic, but it can be securely snapped and unlocked in a controlled manner by using the prominent push button at the front. As already mentioned in my SLab news, DJI has again used this nifty trick. In the second version, the adapter for Android and iPhone can be conveniently placed directly inside the charging case. Full Aim also did this a few years ago. Unfortunately, it is still not possible to store the windscreen together with the transmitters inside the battery case, as the pioneers from Rode did with Wireless Pro 2, competing in the still relatively young wireless microphone sector of 32-bit league, the windscreen adapters. Nevertheless, the windshield adapters, which are no longer as tricky to screw on as with the DJI mic, can now simply be plugged in. They snap into place compactly and can also be removed easily again afterwards. Not only do they appear to be made of fabric with super soft fluff on, there is probably an additional layer of foam between the plastic plug-in adapter unit and the fake dead cat, which lets the hearts of us audiophiles leap up a few octaves higher. DJI Mic 2 accessories. Due to its compact architecture, the DJI Mic 2 comes with surprisingly few accessories. In addition to compartments for the wind muff, the bag only contains a pretty stable 3.5mm TRS to TRS cable for connecting to cameras or other recording devices, as well as a USB-A to USB-C cable. Compared to the accessories of the HOLLYLAND Lark M2, which is also new on the market, this appears pleasantly manageable. The transmitter of the DJI Mic 2. On the right side of the transmitter of the DJI Mic 2, there is a pairing button as well as a power button, which can also be used to switch between standard recording mode and recording with noise reduction. Unfortunately, the light green and green LED colors do not differentiate very clearly between operation with and without noise reduction in visual sense. Although this option can also be dialed in via the menu in the receiver, but it is not very intuitive or evident. On the left-hand side, we find the recording button marked in red and an LED that lights up red once the internal recording has been activated. By the way, pressing and holding this button for more than 3 seconds activates the Bluetooth pairing mode of the transmitter in case you want to connect it to devices other than the DJI Mic 2. Here are a few examples of connecting via Bluetooth to a few other non-proprietary DJI devices: Insta360 X3, my Samsung 20 FE, which is actually not officially being supported. Still, it works. Unfortunately, it is no longer possible to connect the DJI Mic 2 to the Insta360 Ace or Ace Pro, which is a great pity, but as you can see here in the overlaid communication with Insta360 support, they promised to solve this problem and they say it will be possible again with one of the next updates. Now, back to the topic of internal recording with the transmitter. This is where the DJI Mic 2 really starts to shine. By combining the internal recording of up to 11.2 hours in 32-bit float with the additionally available 3.5mm input for external sources, such as lavalier microphones or similar equipment on both receivers, which then can be placed anywhere in space, the Mic 2 becomes a hyper-intuitive tool. Dictaphone, audio diary, high-end recording device, microphone extender, you name it, which saves you the intense investment in alternative niche products such as the Zoom F2 or Tascam DR10L. Listen the audio samples in the end of the video with some more examples. The only downer is that unfortunately no stereo tracks can be recorded internally on the respective receivers. Logical, because the entire system was designed to pick up a stereo signal by storing the input signals of the two transmitters separately next to each other in a classic stereo track. Never mind, to avoid any misunderstandings, I wanted to mention this again. However, a whole universe opens up here for use with a wide variety of mono input signals anyway. What I'm trying to say is that my Mackie EM89MS is transformed into something like the VM30 from Comica by simply connecting it to the DJI Mic 2. Several ancient microphones are entering their path into the future this way. There will be a few examples in the sound comparison at the end. There is also a USB-C input on the left, which can be used to charge the transmitter in the set without a battery charging station. The internally stored sound recordings can also be accessed via USB at this point. The top of the DJI Mic 2's transmitter incorporates both the high-quality internal microphones and mounts for the optional windscreen. Lavalier microphones, for example, can also be fed in at this point, as already described before. At the bottom, again, in keeping with my studio ambience, there are gold-colored charging contacts for the connection to the battery case. In contrast to its predecessor, the front of the receiver is no longer matte gray or white, but transparent and therefore allows a glance of the circuits behind. However, the heavy reflections are unlikely to provoke a particularly favorable effect regarding the outfit of the talents shown in the video. We already knew the design of the DJI Mic 2 from the optional additional mic for the Osmo Pocket 3. The clamps are fixed at the back of the transmitters. There you find magnetic clips that can be clicked on from both sides, presenting two different types of logos. As much as I am a fan of strong magnetic connections, I must warn you here, if you need to clip the DJI Mic 2 to a magnetic metal surface for an application, have fun fiddling it off unless you can reach an edge somewhere by moving the composite magnet. In this case, you will need a special tool to lever it underneath, or even pliers. So it's best to put a piece of fabric underneath the magnet before you attach it. This way you will be able to pull it off more easily afterwards. The receiver of the DJI Mic 2. On the front there is an easy to read touch display and more recently a control dial. We will go into the menus and functions in a later part of the video. On the left there is the red plastic master output and, get this, a headphone output. On the right there is the on-off switch, which can also be used to lock the touch screen by briefly pressing it. On the back of the receiver are both the USB-C output for charging or connecting to a computer or other digital devices, as well as 4 gold-plated charging poles for connecting to the battery case and the dock for connecting to Android or Apple devices. At the top of the receiver we discover an engraved DJI logo and also we have access to the control wheel. On the underside is the problematic cold shoe adapter foot, which I will have to criticize at the end of the video. The menus of the DJI Mic 2. With a swipe down on the receiver display, the receiver and transmitter settings as well as the global settings can be adjusted. The menus can be manipulated by swiping back and forth, but as already mentioned, the DJI Mic 2 now also provides a convenient click and turn wheel similar to what we already knew from the HOLLYLAND Lark Max, for example. In the receiver settings we can choose between the mono, stereo or safety track variant, and in the submenu, there is the option to swap the right and left channels directly from the receiver, which can be extremely practical in complicated film setting situations. With the next menu item, we can call up recommended gain settings for various cameras. Unfortunately, the A6700 is not yet included. However, we already knew a similar function from the new Rode Wireless Pro 2, but there you must call up these camera settings via an app, if I remember correctly. Of course, we can also manually adjust the receiver gain. The volume of the headphone output of the receiver unit can be leveled up and down as well, but overall, to my taste, the headphone output signal should be a little stronger. The next option relates to the possibility of the receiver switching itself on and off at the same time as the camera is being switched on and off. I already knew a similar function from my Mackie shotgun microphone, which, by the way, just for fun, I was connecting to the A7 IV, filming me there from behind. This is a distance of about 60 or 70 centimeters. You can also set whether or when the receiver is going to switch off itself, and then there is the pairing function. In the transmitter settings, there is a selectable low-cut filter that masks frequency ranges between 50 and 100 Hz. Then there is another transmitter gain. Here you can switch between 32-bit float and 24-bit for internal transmitter recordings. At the next point, you can select that the internal recording in the transmitter cannot be accidentally interrupted by pressing the record button. If auto record is activated, the internal recording switches on immediately when the transmitter is removed. Under eMMC, the available storage volume can be displayed in hours and the memory can be formatted. The vibration feedback and the LED indicator lights can also be muted if required. The global settings can be used to call up the display brightness, the menu language, date and time, reset to factory settings, version information regarding updates, and also information on compliance with the manufacturer's regulations. Finally, in regards to the display, to control the three most important functions, internal recording function, the gain and noise cancelling of the two transmitters TX1 and 2 directly from the receiver. Simply swipe either left or right from the bottom of the receiver display upwards, depending on whether you want to control TX1 or TX2. Identically, this is one of the ways to find out which of the receivers is actually TX1 or 2 at the moment. Alternatively, you can just simply tap the microphone of the respective transmitter to find that out. A different volume level deflection is also displayed in mono mode. Audio tests. We now come to the section with the audio tests. By the way, if you are interested in an equally differentiated test of the HOLLYLAND Lark 2, which might be a cheaper, lightweight and space-saving alternative, take a look in the top right-hand corner now. Both microphones will certainly be included in one of my more comprehensive microphone comparisons soon. For the audio test, I'm not going to run around somewhere in the middle of nowhere like many other YouTubers in order to demonstrate how far the wireless signal of the Mic 2 radio link really goes. My colleagues have already been out walking, jogging, boating, on an e-bike, with one wheels or similar. What is much more interesting, especially since we are talking about microphones, is the comparison of the sound quality with other microphones and its use in different recording scenarios. In a nutshell, however, what can be said about the range? The fewer objects or interference signals there are in the space between the transmitter and the receiver, the longer the wireless range. Obvious, isn't it? The option of internal 32-bit recording makes the whole topic almost irrelevant anyway. One of my YouTube viewers, for example, had a serious problem with the DJI Mic 2. The radio link simply didn't work repeatedly, even though the receiver was in the same room with the microphones. But there was a large cell tower right next to it, and the lesson we learn is, well, let's listen to something different. This is what the DJI Mic 2 sounds like with my voice in stereo mode, no wind muff attached, no low-cut filter nor noise cancelling activated. Let's listen to a moment of silence. This is what the DJI Mic 2 sounds like with my voice in stereo mode, no wind muff attached, No low-cut filter nor noise cancelling activated. Let's listen to a moment of silence. This is what the DJI Mic 2 sounds like with my voice in stereo mode and wind muff attached. No low-cut filter nor noise cancelling activated. Let's listen to a moment of silence. This is what the DJI Mic 2 sounds like with my voice in stereo mode and wind muff attached. No low-cut filter nor noise cancelling activated. Let's listen to a moment of silence. This is what the DJI Mic 2 sounds like with my voice in stereo mode and wind muff attached. The low-cut filter has been activated. Let's listen to a moment of silence. This is what the DJI Mic 2 sounds like with my voice in stereo mode and wind muff attached. The low-cut filter has been activated. Let's listen to a moment of silence. This is what the DJI Mic 2 sounds like with my voice in stereo mode and wind muff attached. The low-cut filter and the noise cancelling function have been activated. Let's listen to a moment of silence. This is what the DJI Mic 2 sounds like with my voice in stereo mode and wind muff attached. The low-cut filter and the noise cancelling function have been activated. Let's listen to a moment of silence. If you want to listen the full spectrum of the DJI Mic 2 with all kind of different sound sources, indoor, outdoor, using the internal mics of the transmitters, as well as many other microphones plugged into the transmitters, with singing voice and different instruments, please check my upcoming video in the top right corner. Summary. My biggest problem with the DJI Mic 2. The transmitter won't reliably lock onto my A6700 camera rig. This was really the last thing I expected from such a highly praised receiver unit. I would not have thought DJI did not think of that. When I strap my small rig cage around the A6700, the receiver doesn't fit into the original multi-interface shoe of the A6700, either lengthwise or crosswise. I don't really know how many power users use a cage around the camera, but I suspect there are far more than just 2 or 3. Just to clarify the problem of such a design decision, Sony has solved this much more elegantly with the receiver of the ECM-S1, for example. Simply make the distance between the flash adapter and the transmitter a little larger and it will fit perfectly. Also, Sony might have stacked just as deep. The receiver of the ECM-S1 offers exactly enough space to slide over the outer edge of the camera cage without any problems. And this is the only sensible decision in this context, you might think. Be that as it may, it seems that all these power users now have a problem attaching the receiver to their rig with the DJI Mic 2. If not, and this is the point of a camera cage, there would be at least another cold shoe available on the cage itself for connecting optional accessories. But the DJI Mic 2 receiver is left to flop around here, so to speak, and in the worst case scenario might get lost halfway through. At least I can currently use the receiver on the multi-interface shoe of my A7 IV, but that still doesn't solve the problem with my A6700 in the cage. And that's why I will now have to explain in conclusion why I will still keep the DJI Mic 2. I particularly like a few other details about the DJI Mic 2. First and foremost, of course, the internal 32-bit recording function in both transmitters. Be sure to check out the part about the transmitters in the previous video if you skipped it. I also think it is a super compact solution that when you open the battery case you can immediately see the most important data, the respective charge status of the transmitter and receiver units, as well as the remaining internal memory capacity to the tenth of an hour. The high quality workmanship, especially of the possibly bulletproof battery case, is convincing. To be honest, I have not checked it myself. But as far as the TRS to TRS cable for connecting to recording devices is concerned, although stable in itself, the spiral version of the HOLLYLAND Lark M2, for example, appeals to me even more and also promises more flexibility. All in all, the entire DJI Mic 2 unit is a very successful piece of kit with the small drawback of the somewhat too strong magnet and the cold shoe mount problem from the summary that wasn't thought through to the end. To solve this for me, I slide a thin piece of cardboard between the mount and the cage on my A6700, for example, but really DJI, couldn't you have come up with something better? In any case, I thought about it a little further with regard to my A6700 in the cage, and then, thanks to a strange looking additional adapter that came with the ta-da! SONY ECM S1, which I initially assumed I would never need, and with another adapter that allows the cold shoe to be adapted to Q20, I have now found a solution that is at least acceptable and can survive an active film shoot, I guess. The only problem now is that, contrary to many YouTube videos out there, the DJI Mic 2 is no longer compatible with the Insta360 Ace or Ace Pro, or at least not now, as I already mentioned in the section on the transmitter unit. They connect, yes, but no sound will be recorded whatsoever. As mentioned above, Insta360 is on it, they say. Well, I won't be sending the DJI Mic 2 back because of all its other exciting features. It is still a great piece of kit, and in the end, no product in the world can ever be truly perfect, because it would be the last product in this world. Thanks for your attention, see you soon, and if you agree, hit like. Cool. If you're looking for detailed instructions on how to update the transmitters and the receiver without messing it up, please follow the link at the top right, where I have explained the whole procedure step by step.